the prohibitions of performing work or doing work or performing melachot, what we call on Shabbat, the source is the work that was done in the Mishkan, the 39 prohibitions, the 39 melachot, the 39 actions that were done in order to build the Mishkan are those that are prohibited on Shabbat. The last one mentioned in the Mishnah is Hotza'ah mireshut l'reshut, what you call carrying on Shabbos, which we don't know so much about in Israel because of the Eruv. Baruch Hashem, here it's not a dispute, like in other places in the world. But carrying is the last melacha mentioned in the Mishnah. And as the Tosfot says, it's a melacha grua, it's an unimportant melacha. It's because you're not actually creating anything. You're not grinding, you're not sowing the seeds, you're not picking fruit or writing or weaving or stitching or whatever it is, sewing. It's just taking an object that was inside and putting it outside. Nothing changed really, and it's still a prohibition. It's a melacha. One of the most interesting phenomena is that this melacha grua, this unimportant melacha, which is still prohibited, takes up probably 80 or 90% of the volume of the discussions of the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat about prohibitions of Shabbat. It's unbelievable. There are a few full chapters dealing only with this melacha. The first chapter and the 11th chapter and other chapters. Muktzeh is even related to it. So how come such a unimportant melacha grua, unimportant melacha, which really is not that significant, takes up so much volume? And I think the answer may be in the source of this melacha. From where do we know that even carrying on Shabbat is a prohibition? The Yerushalmi and the Bavli say that since the Mishkan was built from the donations of Am Yisrael, what they gave, so from that we learn that even bringing something, taking something from yourself and giving it to others is a melacha. It's an action that is considered work, and therefore is prohibited on Shabbat because it was part of the building of the Mishkan. I think when we think about it a bit more deeply, we realize that maybe that's why it takes so much volume. Because, we can create a lot of things. We can invent, we're Startup Nation, we can invent new things, and all of the work, all the melachot Shabbat are all things that are creation of man that people can do, and humanity is so innovative. But what's the most significant we as human beings can do is to take something from ourselves and give it to someone else. Take it out of our personal vicinity, a look outside, and take it mireshut yachid lireshut harabim, or from my domain to someone else's domain. That is more significant than any technological invention we can do. That's the biggest melacha. So technically, it's an unimportant melacha. But really, deeply, it's the biggest melacha one can do, is to give something to someone else. And maybe that's why the Mishnayot at the beginning of Masechet Shabbat start with, the prohibition of carrying. The examples that are brought in the Mishnah is like the balabait who's standing inside and the poor person is standing outside, and the balabait gives some tzedakah to the poor person. That's one, or he takes from the balabait's hand, from the owner of the house's hand. Whatever it is, tzedakah is the epitome of the melachot Shabbat, because that is the biggest melacha one can do, to do a favor to someone else. Also, going out of Tchum Shabbat, going out of our own, out of the box, or out of our comfort zone, that is the melacha. So we can ask ourselves, okay, why is it prohibited on Shabbat? Because maybe Shabbat is a day where we have to build from the inside. You can't give if you're not well built inside. And if we're not constructed inside, in our house, in our actions, in our personality properly, we will not be able to give to others too. So Shabbat is a day where we build ourselves spiritually, family-wise, our homes, and the rest of the week is a time where we can take all those powers outward and do good in the world. Shabbat Shalom.